What if the man who freed the slaves, who led a fractured nation through civil war, had a secret so dark he nearly disappeared from history altogether? This never-before-revealed excerpt, taken from a hidden diary found among Lincoln's private papers, tells of a night soaked in scandal, regret, and blood. A night that nearly broke him and forged the man we thought we knew. This is not the Lincoln from your textbooks. This is the Lincoln no one was ever meant to know. It is a great irony of life that the moments we most want to forget are the ones that continue to whisper through the keyholes of our conscience. The entry I write tonight is not meant for the public, nor even for posterity. It is a confession, not to clear my name, but to unburden a memory that has, for too long, gnawed at the edges of my soul like a rat in a boarded-up house. It was the spring of 1841. I was 32. The wedding to Mary Todd had been called off. To the public, it was said to be a mutual cooling of hearts, a civil disengagement between two educated persons, plagued only by timing. But behind the curtain of Springfield's parlor windows, it was far messier than society dared whisper. I had vanished. Quite literally. Vanished the day before we were to be wed, leaving nothing but a brief note, I must think, and a rented coat still warm from my shoulders. Few know where I went. None know what happened. I fled to Kentucky to a friend's estate by the Ohio River. I told myself it was to escape the pressure, the noise, the expectations. But in truth, I was escaping myself. A man who feared he could not love as deeply as he could debate, who feared that union was not his calling, but rather ruin. I feared I would make Mary unhappy, that I would ruin her life, and so I ran. But here is where the story curdles. There was a woman. Her name was Clara Mathers, a widow, young, only 28, but hardened by loss. Her husband, a Confederate sympathizer, had died in a duel under questionable terms. Some said Clara herself had arranged the meeting. Others said she wept like a woman possessed when she found his pistol misfired. Clara was no stranger to men who wore ambition like a second skin. She recognized the scent of unrest in me. She offered me something I hadn't expected that spring: anonymity and wine, and God help me, understanding. We became entangled in something neither of us named. It was not quite love, more a mutual recognition of grief and disillusionment. Our nights were a mixture of silence, half-sentences, and touches I still cannot account for in words. I stayed for 6 days. On the 7th, her brother arrived, drunk, angry, waving a Colt revolver and shouting obscenities about Yankee bastards who seduced broken women. There was a struggle. I remember Clara screaming. I remember blood, not mine. To this day, I do not know if I pushed him or if he tripped. But his body hit the stone hearth with the most sickening crack I have ever heard in my life. The silence that followed was the kind usually reserved for after-sermons or gunshots. Clara looked at me, her face pale and distant, and she said, coldly, clearly, "Leave. Now." And I did. Like the coward I feared I was, I ran again. This time, not from marriage, but from murder. The newspapers reported the brother's death as a drunken fall. Clara never spoke of me, not even in her dying days when, I'm told, she succumbed to consumption 2 years later in a Louisville sanatorium. If she had spoken, if my name had been uttered once, I would never have seen Washington. For weeks I expected a knock at the door, an officer, a summons, a letter from Clara. Nothing came. I returned to Springfield in a fog. I begged Mary for forgiveness. She gave it, grudgingly and with suspicion. But she never asked me where I'd been, and I never told her. Years later, as I sat in the White House, blood on the fields of Antietam and betrayal sewn into every thread of this Union's flag, I thought of Clara often, of the look in her eyes as I turned and fled. I wondered if it was shame I saw, or mercy. That night by the Ohio River taught me the cruel weight of silence, the kind that sours the air in a room, even when no one is speaking. And perhaps it also taught me resolve. You see, a man who has tasted cowardice does not fear death. He fears witness. He fears being known for what he truly is. I vowed after Clara never to run again. If I could not be innocent, then I would at least be present. So when the war came, when the nation ripped itself open at the seams, I did not flee. When death came for my son Willie, I did not vanish. And when Booth raised his pistol, I did not cower. Some will say I died a martyr. But the truth is, I died trying to outrun a single night in 1841, and I never quite succeeded.